word limitation, making the sentence more, more, more interesting. It is very important. And in the title page, you have to write, project leaders, co-investor, name of institution, collaborator, duration of project, total budget of the project. Despite depending on whether you have to write project concept note or detailed proposal. Project concept note is brief statement, so that I don't write more. But writing a detailed proposal, you have to write a detail about this. If you talk about content, while writing proposal or even literature article writing, technical writing, working paper writing, the component from introduction to conclusion or recommendation. Introduction to conclusion or recommendation. This section is called text, text or content or body. This is the scientific word. Body, text, or content is the component inside introduction to recommendation or conclusion. This component is called text, body, and introduction and content. If you talk about introduction, if you talk about our guidelines in AFU, introduction. In introduction, you have to write background information. In this introduction heading, subheading is background information, statement of problem, and third, rationale of the study. And fourth subheading is objectives. Some people also write objective, question, and hypothesis also in this way. Also, hypothesis you have to mention, and the sex of wording and limitation of the study. These are the major components subheading in the introduction section. In introduction section, background information you have to write detail about your scenario. For example, zone, super zone, block, even commodity wise काम गर्दै हुनुहुन्छ लिमा भनेपछि जसले फर एक्जाम्पल जसको भेजिटेबलको ललितपुरको जोन भेजिटेबलमा पर्यो भने इन्ट्रोडक्सनमा नेपालको भेजिटेबलको सिनारियो अलिकति के छ, ललितपुरमा प्रोडक्टिभिटी एरिया कस्तो छ, अनि ललितपुरमा त भेजिटेबलको यदि तपाईले मार्केटिङमा पनि फोकस गर्नुहुन्छ भने मार्केट कस्तो छ, ती कुराहरु देख्नु पर्यो. If you are going to do action research, for example, tomato ko field production garda action research garde hununcha bhane, then what are the in tomato ma why introduction ma action research ke bhayo ke bhaseina त्यसको बारेमा देख्नु पर्यो. Not judgment, just write the information regarding this content. This is the background information. Background information about half page or 1 page is enough while writing background. Half page is enough. Then inside the introduction statement problem, also statement of problem or rationale of study and university guidelines ma difference heading ma cha. कसैले statement of problem like rationale ma pani rationale पनि त्यही भित्र राख्ने कुरा हुन्छ. Statement of problem भनेको I have already mentioned you that problem for researcher, problem is an opportunity for solution. एउटा रिसर्चरको लागि समस्या भनेको समाधानको उपाय हो भनेर सोच्नु पर्यो. र रिसर्चरले दुईटा काम गर्छ. project developer or researcher दुईटा काम गर्छ. Either problem solving गर्ने काम गर्छ or digging the problem गर्ने काम गर्छ. For example, at the beginning of COVID-19, अब COVID-19 के कारण भयो, त्यसको ट्रान्सफर्मेसन के कारणले भयो, ओरिजिन कहाँबाट भयो भन्ने कुरामा चाहिँ lots of health related साइन्टिस्टहरु रिसर्चमा इन्भल्भ भए. To at the beginning of COVID-19, to researcherको मेन प्रब्लम भनेको चाहिँ digging the source of COVID-19. Okay, COVID-19 को source के हो, किन पेन्डेमिक भयो भन्ने कुरा हो. Nowadays, people are doing research how to manage, how to control the COVID-19. Managing approach, managing to life. There are contests, depend on contest. Problem, either you have to dig or you have to solve the problem. However, while writing the problem, it should be convincing. It is very important. It should be convincing. Okay, it should be convincing. It is very important. And you have to mention why the study is being proposed. किन study propose गर्नुभएको यो study किन आवश्यक छ भनेर demanding side you have to write why study is proposed. It is also important. Don't solve all problem in the on study. I have already mentioned. Be specific. रिसर्चले चाहिँ रिसर्चलाई भेरी स्पेसिफिक बनाउनु पर्छ, जेनेरिक बनाउने होइन. सो द्याट डोन्ट सल्भ अल. एकै टाइममा एउटा रिसर्चले सबै काम सक्दैन. इट इज इम्पोर्टेन्ट. ओके, एट द बिगिनिङ म मास्टर पढ्दै गर्दा मेरो प्रोफेसर ह्यानोभर जर्मनीको ह्यानोभर युनिभर्सिटीको प्रोफेसर, पहिला एग्रिकल्चर एसियन डेभलपमेन्ट ब्याङ्कको डाइरेक्टर हुनुहुन्थ्यो. अनि मैले कफीमा रिसर्च गर्दै थिएँ. मैले कफीमा प्रपोजल बनाउँदै थिएँ. अनि त्यसपछि मैले भेग बनाएँ प्रपोजल. अनि उहाँसँग कुराहरू त उहाँले के भन्नुभयो, संस्था रिसर्चर धेरै स्लोमा यो तिम्रो काम भनेको समुद्रमा एक थोपा पानी झारेको, तर त्यो थोपा झारेको पानी स्पेसिफिक हुनु पर्यो. त्यो पानी झरेपछि त्यो पानी चाहिँ सेग्रिगेसन हुनु, मान्छेले चिन्न सक्नु पर्यो. त्यो बी स्पेसिफिक हुनु. त्यसरी मैले 9-10 पटक प्रपोजल डेभलप गर्दा चेन्ज गर्दा गर्दै आई फोकस अन भ्यालु चेन डेभलपमेन्ट, स्पेसली वेट प्रोसेसिङ एन्ड ड्राई प्रोसेसिङ अफ कफी इन नेपाल. यु क्यान रिड आर्टिकल. इट इज अभाइलेबल इन अनलाइन अल्सो. देयर आर 3-4 आर्टिकल रिलेटेड टु माई एमएससी research. So that don't solve all problem on study. You have to be specific. Be honest about what you think can be achieved and what you can't, even if it is desirable. So that I mean that when writing the statement of problem, be focused, very specific focusment you have to do, and simple. Keep in mind, simple is beauty is quite important. Simple is beauty is quite important. Okay. त्यसपछि अझै 1.3 यो अझै लास्टमा पाउँ राख्नु राखौँ. 1.3 1.4 यसलाई यसो गरेँ, यसलाई 1.4 मा राखेँ अनि अर्कोलाई 1.3 मा राखेँ. Okay, 1.3 you have to write about a goal, objective, hypothesis, and research question as a subheading. 1.3. This is 1.3. Okay. If it a goal of a development project, my goal research project and research project and goal goal is your proposal, nearly your title. Title is mainly grow. So हमने ते research proposal माने objective रखा है, बड़ा broad objective रखो, broad objective related to goal, and it is near about the title. For example, so while you are doing some research, like you know. Economic analysis of different types of mushroom production in Kathmandu Valley. Okay, this is your title. For example, तिमीले Kathmandu Valley को different types of mushroom, oyster mushroom, कन्ने गोब्रे mushroom, के होला, सिताके different mushroom को चाहिँ economic analysis गर्ने, production efficiency के छ, कसको profitable छ, हेर मलाई economic analysis of different types of mushroom in Kathmandu Valley. And your goal might be to assess the economic aspect of different type of mushroom production and marketing in Kathmandu Valley. That is your broad objective. Also, it is goal. So that I have a major broad objective also called major objective. There is only one major objective, and you have to write 2 to 5 specific objective. 2 to 5 specific. 2 to 5, specific objective. While writing the objective, there are 2 ways of writing objective. Specific objective. Specific objective should be specified. This is major component. You have to deal in this way, like input in order to achieve output. This is one way of writing objective. Input in order to achieve output. The input or output linkage in order to achieve output. Other is based on your major objective, you have to disaggregate major functional component while writing specific objective. For example, your broad objective is economic analysis of different type of mushroom production in Cartoon Valley. Might be your specific objective. Might be one is to assess socio-economic status of mushroom producer. Mushroom producer को socio-economic गरिबले गर्दा रहेछ कि धनीले गर्दा रहेछ नि फार्म साइज कस्तो छ सोशल स्ट्रक्चर कस्तो छ त्यो एउटा हेर्न मन लाग्यो. Second might be to analyze cost benefit of different types of mushroom production. Cost benefit के छ त्यो cost benefit भित्र profitability त्यही आयो दोस्रो. Third, you can do to investigate factor determining producing different types of mushroom. कसैले oyster मात्रै गर्ला, कसैले गोब्री मशरूम प्रोडक्सन गर्ला, कसैले सीताके प्रोडक्सन गर्ला. के कारणले डिफरेन्ट टाइप्स अफ मशरूम प्रोडक्सन गर्छ नि त भन्ने एउटा हेर्न सक्न सक्यो. Fourth objective, if you have time, 3 is 5. Also, to analyze, to assess production efficiency of different types of mushroom production efficiency. Cost benefit, but the profitability, and production efficiency, production function, different types of mushroom that you have to do. So that I mean that you have to specify your specific objective. To attain self-sufficiency in rice or milk or meat are the pre-assumption. Example is hypothesis. Based on objective, you have to formulate hypothesis. There is null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. I have already mentioned only null hypothesis is testable. Significant means rejecting null hypothesis. If you are going to observe your character parameter from two-tail test, you know about two-tail test, only you have to write null hypothesis, it's not necessary to write alternate. Production and benefit costs are similar for different types of mushroom. Null hypothesis are different. It is not necessary. But if you are going to test one-tail test in your hypothesis, at the time you have to write both null and alternative hypothesis. For example, production and benefit cost ratio is higher for shiitake mushroom as compared to other mushroom. One tail go at a time, higher different side when you don't like higher, you have to write on that. So that if two-tail test, assessment of hypothesis, only null hypothesis is enough. But one tail test, you have to write both null and alternate hypothesis. Research question different. It is the most important element in your research proposal. Keep the question simple, based on objective. Is question really relevant for whom? Which stakeholder will benefit? Has it already been studied or not? You have to focus on that and focus on economic choice, behavior. Begin for formulate behavior hypothesis. So that you have read. So that this is too important. You have to talk about this, about introduction session. After that, 1.4, you have to write a scope and limitation of this study. Limitation of the study by geography. Identify what a lady has been done. By policy, need or need interest. By thinking through time and cost implication, and by considering analytical and data requirement. So that the limitation like that, time limitation on the location limitation, geographic limitation on the and resource limitation. Based on that, your sample size, your design, and instrument is determined. So that your sample size, your design might not be universal truth to all. So that this is a limitation. You have to write about limitation of your study. It is quite important. Okay, then literature review. You know, literature review गरिसकेको छ हो. प्रपोजल सबैले बनाइसक्यो हेर लिखो सबस्टेट अफ फिजिबिलिटी प्रपोजल कोही बोल्दैन मैले बोले सुनेछ
सुनिरहेको छ सर
लिगो प्रपोजल सबैले बनाएको नि यस ओके
बनाएको छ सर
अनि लिटरेचर रिभ्यू गरेको छ सबैले रिभ्यू अफ लिटरेचर कुन स्टाइलमा गरेको छ लिटरेचर हजुर in which style you have to use for literature review. AKP, okay, AP, okay, yes, right. There are different styles of writing literatures, like AP style, Chicago style, Harvard styles, and different styles. While writing literature, you know, inside the body, I have already mentioned, or content or text. You have to write only surname of authors. One author, many authors. AP has guidelines, own guidelines. Surname of authors and year of publication. If you quoted the reference, then also you have to put page. It is important. Single author surname, two author surname. And more than two authors, AP has also changed the guidelines nowadays. More than two authors, you have to write first authors, main author, surname, it all, at all, ETAL, adult, and year of publication. It all means etc. This is the guidelines inside the body entries. I'll talk later about how to rephrase it. And while writing the literature review, two things you have to correct on this. One is past empirical finding. That is very important. Past empirical finding भनेको तिम्रो रिसर्चसँग तिम्रो प्रब्लम टपिकसँग अर्थात् तिम्रो ऱ्यासनल स्टडीसँग अहिले भन्दा अगाडि के रिसर्चहरू भए र के फाइन्डिङ भए त्यो फाइन्डिङ तिमीसँग तिम्रो रिसर्चसँग कतिको टाइअप हुन्छ भनेर सर्चिङ गर्नेलाई चाहिँ past empirical finding भनिन्छ. Past empirical finding, for example, I just talk about the different types of mushroom production in Cartoon Valley. त्यो भने अब अलरेडी रिसर्च भएको चाहिँ भयो. यदि काठमाडौँ भ्यालीमै रिसर्च भएको छ भने यु हेभ टु कन्सल्ट दिस काठमाडौँ भ्यालीभित्र भएको छैन भने अरूका मेन भ्यालीहरूतिर पोखरा चितवनतिर कता भएको छ त्यो हेरे. यदि त्यहाँ पनि भएन नेपालको पार्टीको ठाउँमा त्यो नेपाल हेरे. यदि नेपालको पनि भाषा छैन भने हाम्रो नियर कन्ट्री सिमिलर कन्ट्रीको त्यो रिफरेन्स हेरे. इन्डिया, बङ्गलादेश, पाकिस्तान, इभन चाइना, भुटान. त्यहाँ पनि भाषा छैन भने अब हाम्रो त नियर महाद्वीपसँग नियर अरे जस्तो अफ्रिकासँग हाम्रो टाइप त्यहाँ पनि भएको छैन नि बल्ल होराइजन यसरी चाहिँ डिफ्रेन्स गरौँ. एउटा चाहिँ फाइन्डिङ फ्रम सिमिलर लोकालिटी इज इम्पोर्टेन्ट while writing the past empirical finding. Second is year of publication. Recent article I think तिमीले तिमीले 2022 मा एकछिन बाबु म एकैछिन म क्लास लिएदैछु बाबा एकैछिन गर्छु. अनि 2022 मा रिसर्चको हेर्दैछ र 1980 को चाहिँ ल्याएर पास्ट इम्पेरिकल फाइल ल्याएर यसो भनेपछि त त्यो टाइम होराइजनले चाहिँ त्यसको एसेन्स चाहिँ लुज गर्न सक्छ. द्याट्स वाइ दोस्रो कुरो चाहिँ पहिलो लोकेसन कुरा गरेँ मैले पब्लिकेसन बाई लोकेसन. सेकेन्ड पब्लिकेसन बाई टाइम रिसेन्ट आर्टिकललाई चाहिँ गरौँ. तेस्रो चाहिँ पब्लिकेसन बाई सोर्स. इट इज भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट. पब्लिकेसन बाई सोर्स मिन्स हाई इम्प्याक्ट फ्याक्टर जर्नललाई चाहिँ तिमीले हेर्नु पर्यो. जस्तै स्कोपसमा भएको प्लागरिजममा भएको जर्नलहरू हेर्नु पर्यो. हाई इम्प्याक्ट फ्याक्टर एल्सबर्ग IMPI and त्यसपछि 12 and 5 from France यसको पब्लिसरहरूले मोस्ट उस छ। त्यसले गर्दा while searching past empirical finding, three things are quite important. One is by location, more homogeneity of finding. Second, recent publication. Third is source of publication, high impact and non-plagiarism article you have to search. So in the past empirical finding, provide evidence to support your topic what others have done in the similar study. For example, according to IPCC, the mean temperature IPCC, International Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change. You can search this website also. 2009 year, the mean temperature in Nepal's subcontinent will increase by 2 degrees centigrade by 2060. To analyze the impact of climate change on agriculture and livestock, so far agronomic economic model and livestock economic model under controlled experiment, according to Kumar and Parikh 1998A and FU 2008. When you have to write ABC in year of publication, it means that Kumar and Parikh has published more than one article at the same year, so that you have to disaggregate A, B, C, D in this way. Every year, एउटै अथरले धेरै आर्टिकल पब्लिस गरेको छ भने त्यसको लागि चाहिँ फाइन्डिङलाई एबिसी राखेको छ। Okay, FAO 2000 and the climate forecasting model, agro-ecological zone model, FAO 1996 crop growth model, and Ricardo approach, Mendelssohn et al. 1994, Palanisamy 1988, 2008 have used. Study from developing country so that the cost of illness associated with diarrhea can ranges from this amount to this amount. And then you have to write the difference. This is the way you have write 2-3 differences inside. And but in the past empirical finding, provide evidence to support your topic, what others have done in your single study. This is important. So in literature review, what do we know about research issue question and how do we know it? Identify relevant reference to busters, key messages, support your claim, no policy, provide some comparative numbers. Tell a story narrative, no list, cover its methodology issue separate. Also, literature review also you have to do on your methodology support. Allow you to link or work with other book. Includes a study from with and outside your region and synthesize it. These are the way of writing. Also, proposed analysis as part of a theory can also also in literature review. One is fast empirical finding. Second is conceptual framework or theoretical concept you have to write. And theoretical concepts, for example, if you talk about a study on demand of fees and something, then what is the law of demand and how the demand of fees can be worked in the model you have to write. So that literature review one is empirical finding and another is conceptual framework. For example, theory can be explicit method, a mathematical model describe the theory. Sometimes it's imply conceptual story about household, farm, etc. behavior. The analytical framework is important otherwise you cannot really make sense of data, cannot generate testable hypothesis, how to identify relevant variables. It helps to identify testable hypotheses and relevant variables. For example, livelihood framework approach, livestock promotion possibility. You have to see this is the conceptual framework. Sustainable livelihood framework approach proposed by DFID. This is the program from government of United Kingdom, UK, 1999. Sustainable livelihood. There are, if you talk about assets, there are 5 assets: human, natural, financial, social, physical. And vulnerability because it might be, people are vulnerable on shock, trade, and seasonality. And this vulnerability influence on livelihood assets. And this also influence on policy institution and process and structure, level of government, private sector, and law, policy, culture. So, to coping this, livelihood strategy need to be adopted in order to improve livelihood outcome like more income, increase our well-being, reduce vulnerability, improve food security, more sustainable use of natural resource, NRE is natural resource base. Might be when developing conceptual framework, you have to revise a little bit, depend on your research context, and you have to write it. Source DFID 1999 with own illustration. Okay, after illustration. Another is this is a conceptual framework that was prepared by MSc student while doing a master degree about cattle insurance, willingness to pay or join. This willingness to pay a joint influenced by socio-economic factor, gender, ethnicity, as education, income, farm size. LSU is livestock standard unit, improvement in social group and career. And the problem is weak government policy, lack of awareness among the farmer, lack of coordination among the stakeholder, and poor trust, narrow coverage of insurance company. Insurance policy might be helpful for this. Increase resilience to cattle farming, reduction of vulnerability in the cattle farming, increase production. And due to if farmers want to insurance, then outcome is increased production and income, increased capacity, and improved livelihood. Also, you have to put some why farmers are not doing this. Socio-economic factor you have to investigate in this way. It is conceptual framework of livestock risks within teach, right? You have to see same insurance market, livestock risks, death, missing, disabled, willingness to join cattle insurance, influenced by awareness of livestock insurance, different source of awareness. Based on that, farmer willing to join, pay for cattle insurance. This is influenced by farmer economic characteristics, like example, as gender, education, occupation, farm size, etc. This is another concept framework. This is about also conceptual framework prepared by my student. You can see the articles. This MSc research article. It is available. Sustainable soil management practices. SSMP habitats was terminated now. Most of the why farmers are doing SSMP, sustainable soil management practice, adoption or not. Maybe adoption of sustainable soil practice. Maybe some are adopted and some are non-adopted. If farmer adopted, this increases crop yield, through crop diversification, improves soil fertility and nutrition state. And second is due to adoption, help to production and crop productivity increase. And this due to this increment of adoption, third step is increase household income and welfare. However, for adoption might be different factor, might be influenced like socio-demographic variables, age, gender, economic, education, migration, ethnicity, also economic variable, land size, physical assets, household income, livestock holding, access to credit, household housing particular, and institutional variable like membership in farm and training. This might be included. This is a very clear conceptual framework. Based on this conceptual framework, you have to make methodology and some modeling if you want in your research. It is important. Okay, आजलाई यति गरौँ जस्तो लाग्यो टाइम छैन. Do you have any question about this? तिम्रो क्लासमा अरु क्लासमा नि यस्तै हो कि मेरो क्लासमा मात्रै हो नाम हो? मैले बोले सुने हा?
सबैमा लगभग यस्तै हो.
ओके यस्तै हो. अल आर ह्याप्पी मनाउनको लागि. ओके त्यसो हो तिमीहरुको